ultra talented Trista Robinson joining the show. How you doing?
Oh, well, that was very flattering. Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
There's nothing I said that wasn't true. You've done some
Okay.
really cool shit. Yeah. So, and as for me, up and down, it's been a interesting month. I'm doing a show. Like I'm actually creating a show for a client, actually for YouTube. Help her with try to get some more massage therapy clients, a massage therapy educational show kind of thing, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's important too.
Yeah.
You're serving the greater good.
Something to that effect. Well, I'm helping my friend out, and I'm also just how do I put this? I enjoy creating shows. Like creating shows is a lot of fun because they're like telling stories. Even the educational stuff actually gives you some interesting places to play in, which I never would have imagined until I did it last year. Last time we talked, I think was right before I just started. I did a show for an immigration company, so I did an immigration news show kind of thing, a news feature show. So I've been doing. I've become an educational producer. I'm not quite sure how that happened, Trista. It was an accident. I swear. I solemnly swear. I accidentally stumbled into education. So.
Well, that's important though. Good for you.
Yeah. And how about you? I mean, the pandemic officially ended, quote unquote, like earlier this year. And I imagine, so has it gone back to some kind of normal film wise for you, or is it still a little crazy? Is it still semi crazy? Is it still no one knows what they're doing? I don't know. Like you know that better than I do, I guess, in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, let me grab my cat. He's trying to join us. He recently had his eye removed. Sorry, this isn't answering your question, but he's stumbling a little. So
No. That's okay. Hey, listen, Trista, I had a 3-year-old hold my show up for hostage. It's okay. A cat can do that too.
This
Hi.
this is David. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
Oh, he wanted to know what I was up to. Sorry. So, yeah, as far as shooting, I've been shooting a lot. And it's been crazy. It's hard to say that it's normal because shooting is never normal. And especially the sort of projects I work on, they're weird, crazy independent projects. So, but I've been working a lot, knock on wood. But COVID is starting to spike right now. So I hope everyone does stay safe, of course. But yes, I've been able to resume work. And yes. I anticipate it slowing down around the holidays.
Yeah, and then it picks back up like early, like January, February next year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I forget whereabouts are you? Are you in California?
Yeah, I sure am.
Yeah. So you get like a Christmas break because nobody wants to be anywhere near anything at Christmas. And then New Year's is like, okay, we got more shit to shoot. Come back. Please come back. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll leave town, but I'll be back. I'll be flying back on New Year's Day to be back in town. Yeah.
So you're getting ready to work. So again, it doesn't really, it stops like, it kind of is like a 2-week like hiccup, right? So.
Yeah, which is great. You know, I love to work, so and I'm glad to work.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're in a fun little space like independent horror, which I think is some of the fun stuff in film right now. So, I mean, so are you doing more behind the camera at this point in your career, or are you still primarily in front of the camera?
I do both. I'm primarily in front of the camera, but I have been working on a project where I cast most of the film and secured locations and stuff like that. So I've been doing more than being on camera talent, but I still primarily am an actor and take a lot of pride in developing different characters.
That's right. Well, no, absolutely. I'm just figuring I'd ask because again, part of the film industry is interesting in the sense that like there's lots of areas where storytelling skills have the benefits in front and behind the camera. So I just wondered if you got the bug to go behind, but it sounds like you still want to be in front of the camera primarily at this point in your career.
Well, like I said, I enjoy doing both. I enjoy having more creative control. I found it very creative to cast. I loved casting, this film. I love being able to give worthy actors jobs. It makes me so happy as an actor. I just love that so much. So I found that super, super rewarding. So yeah, I'd love to do more casting going forth. I also write, but I'm not to the point where I'm selling scripts or anything, but I do write for myself for now. But yeah, I have really fallen in love with casting. And then, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be able to have an array of characters. I think if I were in a position where I was being typecast or something and I was always playing the same character, it's very likely I'd get bored. But knock on wood, that hasn't happened to me yet. So as long as I keep getting to play different characters, I'd like to go forth.
So it's interesting. Like to me, I think we've had this conversation in the past. Horror is about like that little bit of moment of possibility that even as out there as it can be, there's a little bit of reality to it. There's a little bit like this could happen. So I mean, it's always a fascinating thing. But I guess where I'm going is it, what do you prefer, like the villain or the hero? Like which side, the protagonist, the antagonist, the girl that gets murdered in the films? Like what's your favorite part of the, like, is there a characters you enjoy doing more than others?
I mean, I do enjoy playing both the villain and the heroine, so to speak. Also, I like anti-heroes, but you know, my most favorite characters are the ones that are complex. You know, nobody in life is really all good or all bad, and it's peppering in those nuances and infusing characters with empathy and executing arcs. Those things give me great satisfaction.
Okay, so in that case, is there a particular favorite kind of arc you enjoy?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I guess I like having to find out. I like characters, maybe this is trite, but I like characters that through trials and tribulations, you really have to find out what they're made of, you know? And sometimes I'm setting my cat down. Sorry. Sometimes that surprises even me, because I think, let me be a little more specific. I think a lot of times people see my work and they might think that the arc is sort of, you know, going from someone who's meek to being empowered. But my arcs are a little more specific than that. Like, I don't necessarily think because someone is quiet that they're meek. You know what I mean? So I like to draw out certain qualities that maybe characters didn't even know existed within themselves unless they were thrust into certain situations, which of course in a film or a play, usually the stakes are high. You're watching the most exciting parts of these people's lives, right? It's not the boring parts of people's lives. So yeah, so I like sort of unexpected, for better or for worse, I like when I get to make big, bold decisions and unexpected decisions. And then the character becomes someone that maybe people underestimated. And I can relate to that, of course, in my real life, you know.
So if I were to sum it up, let's see if you agree with me on this. You actually enjoy the uncomfortable situation in the story, because in real life, like in real life, like the thing is, most of us don't like being uncomfortable. Most of us, right? It's actually my 8th rule of success: stay uncomfortable, because it's how you grow. So you enjoy the growth of whatever character you're playing, whatever direction it may go, whether they descent into madness, whether they become heroic, whether they do something that feels very heroic but maybe tragic. Whatever the decision is interesting, right? But you enjoy that discomfort process, because in there you find out who your character really is.
Yes, I think you said it better than I did. In fact, thank you. I
Yeah.
do, because there's no point in paying money to go watch something with shiny, perfect hot people. That bores me, right? I want to see the gruesomeness of humanity. That's the point.
You want to see who people really are. That's the thing that fascinates you. That right? It's like, because a lot of people will talk a certain way, and you hear it. I'm sure you've heard it your whole life, and it goes 1 year. Probably at this point, you're older / wiser, question mark, question mark, question mark, enough to realize that a lot of people talk, but that's not interesting. What's interesting is what people do. And it's true in real life too. It's actually, I think, I like it last few years taught me, like, who are you when things are hard is a much more interesting question than who are you when things are comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all probably learned that within the past years, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and some of us are stronger than we ever imagined we could be. Some of us, I think, if they were honest with ourselves, have things we need to work on too. And again, I'm not commenting on anyone specifically, but this is just when you go through a trial, like whenever we go through trials in life, like there's those moments where you gotta look in the mirror and say, I gotta get better at this. Or or I did good. Or like, and everybody's different. Like everybody is at different points on the stratosphere. But the important thing, and this is what I've learned in the last things, like the biggest things I value with people now, ironically, this is going to sound really fucking boring, is accountability, right? Just owning up, ownership, accountability, honesty. I dig that a lot more now. I like knowing where people stand. Maybe it's because I'm older / crankier / whatever. I mean, that's also a possibility too. And I just like transparency. If I can see where you're coming from, even if I don't agree with it, like 100%, but I understand where you're coming from, I'm cool, right? And that's one thing I think, even in good stories, when you look at, say, a villain, okay, you don't want to become that guy usually, but right, and this is why it's very dangerous to be too empathetic to a villain. But you want to understand where he's coming from at least a little bit. And good villains, or she, as the case may be, or good villains usually are right about something. Usually are right about something. They have a point. And that's what makes them interesting, because it's like, you look at, say, we're going to use comic books because I'm a comic book nerd. Look at, say, Doctor Doom. Okay, he's absurd. He talks to himself in the third person, which I cannot help but laugh a little bit about when I see him talk. But he's been disfigured and damaged because of his best friend. So there's a little bit of a validation and a justification for his anger and his rage, right? But what makes him a villain too is his ego. His ego can't take the fact that Reed is better than him at something, right? Or Doctor Strange is better at him at something. Like, he can't. He has to be the best, and that's what makes him a villain. But the pain he feels is very real, and that's what makes Doom a compelling character. And also, the fact that he talks himself, like, again, I pop. That's just who I am. I just pop a little bit when I see that. But it's real. There's a little bit of reality to that character, and suddenly you understand them a little bit. I don't root for Doom normally. Sometimes I do, but normally I don't. I'm not supposed to, but I'm supposed to understand them. That's what makes a really compelling villain.
It's interesting.
You agree? Disagree? Think I'm on something or onto something?
I don't know if you're on something. No, I do understand all of the things that you're saying. And it's all humanity, right? It's things you recognize in humans. So yeah.
Yeah, well, again, it's how we connect to people, right? Like, ultimately, okay, as an actress, you take a character, whatever that character is, right? And you got to look at them. It doesn't matter if it's a werewolf. It doesn't matter if it's a mummy. It doesn't matter. And I know I'm keeping it incredibly fucking simple, but I'm just keeping it very, it doesn't matter. what the monster is, right? What matters is where it comes from. What makes Frankenstein such an interesting story is there's a little bit of, you get a little bit of what Frankenstein wants. Frankenstein just wants a normal life. He just didn't, unfortunately, get the opportunity to get a normal life. He got, it's alive, it's alive. So doctor, like, so, because his creator was a bit nuts, right? The mad scientist trope, right? He was nuts. But Frankenstein is like, you can empathize with Frankenstein because it's like, holy shit. Like I get it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't understand people going, you got to put them down. But again, there's that human connection. That human connection is what makes it good. And as an actress, you got to take any of these characters you're playing and you put a little bit of yourself into each of these characters too. Because that's when you can actually tell your story on screen.
I mean, there's so much of myself in my characters. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. That's because it's the material you have. Like, and so an actor, an actress are telling a story too. They are taking the role of whatever character they play. It can be any that's any movie, any story. But the best performances are usually based on something real inside the actor or actress because there's got to be something that, hey, I connect with this character in this way. And I can bring that out, which also means it's really cool, too, because that means every actress or actor with a character will bring out a different part of themselves every single time. So every performance is unique but at the same time, it all connects because the realest person in there is the actor or actress that plays them.
Well, I'm glad you're so enthusiastic about acting.
Yeah, I respect it. I ended up doing a underground. So once upon a time, I didn't see I think a lot of people take for granted the work that goes into acting. There's a lot of work, a lot of going through your own bullshit a little bit as well. It's like, oh God, this is part of me too. Right? You got to be honest with yourself. You got to be able to convey emotion. And that's really hard to do, especially with the emotions that show vulnerability. Like anger is easy. Tears are not. Joy is actually, what's harder for you? Sadness, like tears, or genuine happiness?
I mean, that's a good question. The thing about my emotions and maybe everyone's emotions, I don't know, is like they're so transient. So a lot of that would depend really on the day, what would be easiest to access, you know?
Because I think anger is easy. And the reason why, because we all can find reasons to be pissed off at the world. That's an easy thing. Being sad, that's harder because, again, you're crying in front, like, even though it might be a closed set, you're still crying in front of a select group of coworkers, not necessarily people you're close with. And that's a real, like, you're going to bottle some real emotional stuff when you put it out there. And like, that's why I kind of say, like, I always look at like people, anger is the easiest, I think, of all the emotions to understand. We all have reasons. Every single person on this planet has a reason to be pissed off. That, I think, it might be the easiest one. I'm not saying it's easy all the time, right? But it's the easiest, and we all have a reason to be pissed off. But it's hard to be vulnerable and open. And I know this too. It's super hard. So anger can be a shield. That's why this is right. But tears, happiness, that's vulnerability. And that's hard. That is really, really hard.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of what an actor's job is, is to access that vulnerability on a regular basis.
Yeah, that, like, you're displaying parts of yourselves. Like, that is super hard to do. And great actors, right, or actresses, like, there's two different ways to go. some actors and actresses get completely consumed by the role. They actually envelop the role they're playing. And there's and some of the best performances we've ever seen do that very well. Like right. But some it's okay, so horror, I guess the horror example for the second one is not Freddy Krueger, or actually Freddy Krueger is a good example both ways. When Freddy Krueger started, man, what's his name? It's escaping me right this minute, and it's driving me nuts. The actor who originally played him.
Oh no! Why did you do that? I would never forget it if you didn't say that.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's a terrible thing to do.
I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. But he's actually he's the best example, and I'm sorry, Freddy Krueger. I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
I'm gonna clip this. It's gonna be.
This is very embarrassing. No, please don't. Please don't.
Okay. I'm sorry, Freddy Krueger. I'm sorry. But he's okay. When Nightmare on Elm Street first came out, right? He embodied that character perfectly. That you didn't recognize the actor in the character because Freddy was a legitimate monster, right? Now you get to the end of the net. Now we get to like the Freddy versus Jason era. It's not really the same guy that played. Now it's more like it's a fun take on that character. They're like he's having fun. And you can tell, and you can legitimately tell that. So it's not the same kind of performance. It's like the first one, it's a serious, like getting inside that character. And at the end, well, we know the story, and everybody's just having fun. So there's two different kinds of ways to act. Like there's two different kinds. And that's why I think he's one of the best examples of this because, excuse me, at the beginning, he was very serious. At the end, Robert Englund, that's who it is.
Yes, thank you.
Robert Englund.
That's terrible.
Yes. So at the beginning, he was fantastic. Like, again, he completely immersed himself into the character. Towards the end, it was Robert Englund playing Freddy, but everybody was in on the joke, so it was more fun, right? So they're both valid ways to play the character, right? Right. And like sometimes the actor, you're coming to see the actor play a character, and sometimes you're seeing the actor immersed in the character, right? And I think the first one in particular, that one's super hard to do, right? Because you got to completely kind of eliminate a lot of ego in that as well. You're becoming almost a different person, and that takes an awful ton of work. And it's not something people see from a distance because most of that is never in front of the camera. It's a lot of prep behind the camera, right? So now when I filmed, when I actually was behind and part of a film crew, I got to see it for the first time up close and personal. It's like, no, anyone that takes their craft seriously, takes acting or acting seriously, is doing all this work on their own, right? So, right. And sometimes, like I said, you look at some movies where people who aren't actors are in it, you get the business end of it, but almost always their performance blows in comparison because they're not the same kind of professional that someone like you is.
Oh, well, thank you. I do work really hard. I take a lot of pride in my work. It's important to me.
It should be. It's what you put your life into. You should be, and honestly, you should be proud of it too, right? Because it's what you are, it's who you are, it's who you want to be, it's what you want to do. There's no crime in that. It's just like I said, people from again, I'm not saying like it's the hardest job in the world. I think they're right, but at the same time, anything in the arts, right, involves a lot of work and a lot of practice. It's a lot like being an athlete in the sense that you got to put a lot of discipline, practice into what you do. The difference is, obviously, when you're an athlete, you're competing for a championship or a contract or these things. Acting, it's not the same tangible final result. Like you don't know, like if someone's going to watch your movie, you don't know, like, right? You don't have that guarantee. But that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping people watch your performance, say, "Wow, Trista is the shit. We got to use her for something else," right? And that's what you're hoping for. And that's the goal. That's your goal. right? But the goal of the movie is to make money, and it's not quite, it's murkier that way. But in a lot of ways, you do a lot of the same work an athlete does, day in and day out.
Yeah, I mean, similar to ballet or something more athletic, I think when done properly, people don't see all of the legwork and maybe can take that for granted and think it's easier than it actually is.
Yeah, it's not. It's not about just memorizing lines. It's about the story you're telling and the character you're being, and that's the real work. But so okay, so you do a lot of horror, like I said, because you're a big horror fan, right? So
yeah, don't tell Freddie. I feel so bad about that. He's actually attached to a project he's on, so please don't tell him.
I will not tell. I solemnly swear.
Thank you.
I won't say a word. Now, granted, this is live, bro, so I can't really say that.
Go back in time.
Yeah. So I'm just. So I can't really, but.
I'm claiming COVID brain. That's what
okay,
I'm doing.
Okay, yeah, fine. You, like I said.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So, but again, so who were you a fan of? Like when you got into this, like who were the people that inspired you to go down horror?
When I got into it, I mean, I was really a kid when I became a horror fan, so I really loved Bruce Campbell. I kind of wanted to be like Ash. So, that the Evil Dead movies really appealed to a kid, a kid's sensibility. So I would say definitely Ash I want to be. And then Child's Play was my other first favorite horror film as a kid. So I still hold those pretty dear.
So do you want Chucky to kill you on air now that there's a television show?
Yeah, I do. I would love that, of course. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Brad Dourif as well, who I had the pleasure of working with. And I'm a fan of his daughter, who I actually haven't worked with, who I would love to work with. But what a talented family, huh?
Yeah, no, it's very, very talented. So I ask all this. So basically, you would love. So I guess would the dream for you be a franchise, like either as the heroine or the villain of a horror franchise?
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. I lean towards villain just gutturally. I think I always wanted to do sort of creature stuff. I started out doing creature stuff because I'm pretty petite and they always need like a small, creepy person to wear a creature suit. So I started out doing that stuff way before I did sort of leading lady stuff. So it's been an interesting ride for me.
No, yeah. That's actually a heck of a transformation. I mean, you got in as you could, and then you just worked your way up. That's pretty much what happened?
Yeah. So what's cool about that exactly is I started doing kind of creature stuff, and then moved into leading lady stuff, and now I'm taking the next step. I think, and I hope more and more, is I'm starting to do more character stuff, because even as a leading lady, you can have a lot of days and a heftier paycheck, but you can still get a little caught there, not being able to have quite as bold and colorful characters. So I like I mentioned previously, my goal really is to have a huge array of characters. I never want to be typecast.
Okay.
Obviously, the operative word is cast, and I have a lot of friends that work on a different level than me, and they play the same roles all the time, and they don't care, and they make a lot more money than me, and good for them. There's nothing wrong with it. Just my personal goal for myself is that I would like to be able to play lots of different characters and play them truthfully and effectively.
You enjoy the creativity of it.
I do. Yeah, that's it for me. I wouldn't be satisfied with a one-dimensional sitcom character. No matter the paycheck, I don't think it would fulfill me, you know.
Would you do that just so you could do more creative stuff on the side? Like, would you say, okay, I'll bite this bullet for like a couple of years so I can put myself, so I can try different stuff?
Yeah, I probably would. I can't sit here and say I would turn down a job that would allow me opportunities. But I have, so there have been plenty of times in my career where I've done stuff I didn't necessarily believe in, for different reasons, because you know, when you're first starting out, you want to do everything. And then there were times where I just needed a job, of course. But then, right now where I am is I'd almost rather not do anything than do something bad. I just want to do cool shit. Like, that's what I'm in it for. That's why I'm here. So, with cool people. So it's just, I used to just clamor for everything. And then I just decided, you know, I'm okay right now. I can be more discerning and only do things I want to do with people I want to do them with. So that's where I am right now. Who knows, like, what opportunities come my way, how I might feel in a couple months, next year. But I've been fortunate enough that, you know, work begets work and relationships beget relationships. And a lot of the stuff that I work on that I'm proud of, it's allowed the ball to roll in the direction of those sorts of projects that I want to take. So hopefully it keeps going.
Actually, I think it will. And I'll tell you why. Because you made a conscious decision. I think this isn't just for acting. I think this is all art, like not just acting. When you start, obviously you want to try everything because you want to figure out what you're, either what you love to do, what you're good at. Hopefully, you're usually connected, but every once in a while they're separate too. But for the most part, you try to figure out what you're good at, what you love to do, and that kind of stuff. And once you figure that stuff out, you're like, well, do I want to do a Hallmark greeting card commercial, or do I want to play this evil monster in a movie? Fuck that Hallmark commercial. I'm going to play that evil monster in a movie. And what that does is it gives you focus. And that focus will just go from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. Now, you got to keep evolving as you go. You have to constantly change because that's the nature. Life is change. Life is the nature of the world. But you can still make the decision, well, I want to do cool shit. So I want to be the heroine with the chainsaw, right? And I want to be the maniac. Or maybe I'm the hero slaying the monster. Either way, this is fucking fun. This is what I want to do. I'm the same way. Like when I do this show, right? I interview people like you all the time. I want to do this. I love doing this because you're all awesome. And you guys, I always find it flattering that people want to come on my show. So thank you. Right. But there's that. But I want to write good stories. I want to do comics like that. I have I have my own kind of little realm of where I want to play with, which seems to me okay, we're kind of opposite in a sense. Like I'm like, me doing horror doesn't necessarily interest me. I'll use horror aspects, but it doesn't. I seem to be doing kids stuff. And I'm okay if people refer to me as a poor man's ass Dr. Seuss. I will go like this. Like, right? And that's fine by me, right? But again, we both have made conscious decisions of what we want to do artistically. And because of that, you're going to get more and more opportunities because this is what you do. This is what you're focused on, right? Now, I was going to ask if you would challenge yourself, like doing a role outside your comfort zone once in a while, like maybe a young adult story or maybe a fairy tale. Because I could totally see you in a fairy tale, kind of like a classic retelling of a fairy tale somewhere. I totally could see it, but you might not want to do it. You might say, you know what, it ain't cool enough. I want to be this evil mummy in this story. I want to be this creature from the Black Lagoon, whatever, right? So that's fine. We have to make those decisions. Also, for the other reason too is we only got so much time. So I only got so much time. I only got so much energy. What I want, I want to either tell stories or I keep running my big ass mouth on my show. One or the other, right? That's all I really want to do. that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of years have certainly, if they've taught us nothing, they've taught us that, right? That we do only have a finite amount of time. But also, a lot of times I find that I want to do something different than whatever the last thing I did was. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't necessarily rule anything out for myself, because I do want to continue to stretch. That's one of the things that I love about acting, is that you never really have conquered it, right? There's always more and more challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just say, like, but again, but having a focus does not hurt you. I think it helps you. I think it's a step all professionals need to take at some point in the journey. And again, you can always go a different direction. Like, who knows, right? You'll find something that looks really challenging that's completely different. Maybe you decided to do a Hallmark movie. I don't think you'll ever will, but who the hell knows, right? Right. And that's the thing. And maybe you'll be like, I love doing this, and you go a completely different direction. Or maybe you just, I'm enjoying this ride I'm on. I want to keep pushing myself as far as I can go. And either way, it's fine. Right? The important thing is that you made a decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important to have clarity and know what you want, In this business especially, you have to know what you want, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, because without a vision, you can't go anywhere. Like you'll just end up getting, and there's nothing wrong with having bit parts in movies. If that's all you want to do, that's wonderful. But I get the feeling, like I said, you got some world conquering, world dominating kind of schemes inside that head of yours. So, but that requires a bit of a little bit more brutal honesty in that. What do you want? Right. And there's no crime, whatever that answer is, but you got to be honest with yourself.
Well, and that's the thing about film shoots, they take years off your life. You're going to work really hard, and that's why what you choose and who you choose to be with is so important.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So what are you working on now? Or did you just finish something, right?
So right now I'm working on a film. We are about to finish. The shoot is almost done. And it's the one that I mentioned I was helping in other facets of. And it's people that I've worked with before. So I did another film with them called Echoes of Fear. So the filmmakers are Brian and Alo Avene Bradley. So I'm working on that, which is very exciting. I'll be wrapping that this week, actually. And then I have a couple prospective upcoming projects that the ink's not dry on yet. And then I have a couple films on the festival circuit right now. So, yeah.
So what are your films on the festival circuit?
I have a film with, it's kind of a secret, complicated project, but it's a feature film with Michael Epstein and Sofia Cassiola, who are filmmakers that I've admired for quite a while. So I'm thrilled to have a film making the rounds by those talented filmmakers. And then I have a film called Hell's Coming for You. So that's just starting the festival circuits. And I had worked with Mark Savage, that filmmaker, previously on a film called Purgatory Road. And then I have, I did a Terratoons movie, so that it's Terratoons 4, actually. So that's also entering the festival circuit. And what was fun about that is I hadn't ever worked. A big reason I took that film, apart from wanting to work with Joe Castro and Steven Escobar, the filmmakers, is I'm sort of working with these live action puppets, and I had never done anything like that before. So the special effects are really amazing, and that was quite a challenge and interesting experience.
Did you have to imagine, were the puppets like there on set for you to like to play off of, or did you kind of have to imagine it on your own?
No, they were there on the set, but of course, you know, in real life, there's a fella there, so he's either puppeteering it or wearing the suit, or and there's multiple fellas, and a lot of times I'm conversing with them while also sometimes they're blinded by their costume, so sometimes I'm hitting my mark, hitting their mark for them, and hitting the dialogue and the emotions. So I wanted to do that because I thought it'd be an interesting challenge, and it truly was. And the effects are incredible as well. So, and obviously you don't see any of that in the film. It just looks like I'm talking to these creatures and interacting with these creatures. So, yeah, so that was very educational as well. And I got definitely a very specific skill set from that kind of work.
So it sounds like you're prepping yourself for Chucky to kill you. That's what it sounds
like.
Yes,
my life goal. Yes, indeed.
That's what it sounds like. Well, I mean, it's a big part. Like, again, special effects are a big part of horror and science fiction, and at least you had something to play off of. Because I've heard it can be a nightmare when you don't have anything there. You're like, well, what am I supposed to do, right? What's supposed to happen here, right? So at least you had that going for you, which is really cool. And you got 3 films on circuit, including one sounds like you can't talk about yet. So yeah, so you've been busy.
Yeah, and you know, I do often have, you know, sometimes they want to get just your coverage on any kind of film, and then you do sometimes have to manufacture, often actually, if it's just your coverage. You're often working opposite nothing, no matter what the film is. So yeah, that is something that actors do often. And I did work on an anthology as well. It's horror as well. So my section of the anthology, the short film that's in the anthology, which is a feature length, is Holly Hatchet. So, and that was a pleasure as well, working on that. So that'll be coming out and hitting the festival circuit as well. And then I have a dear friend of mine, Justin Bernard Head. He's a really talented filmmaker, and I did a short film with him. And we worked together previously on another short film called Queen of the Dead, which is available on YouTube. And so that will be heading out to the circuit soon as well.
So you're just getting yourself out there right now. So that's awesome. You should, like, again, you've been busy.
Thanks. I like to work. I do love to work, and like I said, I like working with good, talented people. There's so many good people, smart, talented people. I hear often about all of the abuses in the industry, of course, and I'm constantly reminded that I know so many great people, and the great people deserve the work, because there's just as many talented, smart people that are also kind, you know?
Well, as far as the darker side of the entertainment industry, that exists everywhere. Like, it exists in every aspect of the entertainment industry, and it's interesting in some of the places it does exist. We're not going to go into great detail because I don't think you really want to talk about it. But I mean, just for anyone that's getting in this, yes, there's a dark side to the every industry. You just got to be aware it's there. But for the most part, I would say so. 9 out of 10 people you will meet in the industry, 9 out of 10, are generally decent people that just want to do a good product, right? That's generally what I have found in writing. That's what I found in comics. I'm sure you felt the same way. I'm sure you have the same thing with film. Probably 9 out of 10, right? Or maybe 8 out of 10. One's just an asshole you don't get along with, which, I mean, we all meet people like that in the industry. And again, no naming names. That doesn't need to be mentioned. But again, it's humanity. You're with people a long time, but most people are just trying to do a good product, and that's it, really.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, I have so many great friends and so many good people.
Yeah. So that's really what matters. Like you're doing what you love and you got good people with you. Like it sounds like you got it pretty good. Now when you talk last that was to know, I don't say that as like a little. If you're in the place you should be, you're like the two things that matter in this life is that you do what you love with people you love, right? That's it. Like there's very little else in this life that truly matters. You got both. So
Yes, I am very fortunate, and I'm grateful for my health. Every day, I'm grateful for my health too.
that's important too. That's important too. But like I said, I mean, the other thing about the last few years, very little in this life's important. And you realize that too. It's like there's what you love, who you love, ice cream, because everybody likes ice cream. And shit, I don't know. Like I said, the older I get, the less confident I am that I understand how the world works. What I do know is what I do know is that it's the little things that seem to matter the most. So, and you got, and in that thing, you, my dear, are a winner. So congrats.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And it's so nice to see your face.
Yes. So real quick here. So last time we talked about you having like a horse ranch, right? Or that master plan.
Yeah.
Are you building that?
You know, what's funny is I knew you were going to ask. And so this is what happened. I don't have a farm, but what happened is I have friends. I made friends that have a farm. So now I rescue animals and I bring them to the farm. So one day I'll have my own farm, but right now that's where I'm at.
No, hey, listen, I'm impressed you even took that step. Like that's honestly. No, and I say it because a lot of people talk about it like, hey, you've done something about it, right? Again, it's not yours, but it doesn't, again, it's all about the little steps we take. It's not, we don't always get the end. And I say this to people too. It's not always about the end result. It's the effort you make in the journey, right? I don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know fully either. We're just going along for the ride, right? Good things will happen to you. Bad things are going to happen to you. It's just, that's life. Like it's up and down, up and down, up and down. But the important thing is really it's the effort you make. Honestly, I don't know any other way to measure people.
Yeah, I say that a lot, you know, even with relationships, any kind of relationships, trying goes a long way to me.
Yeah.
You know, if someone is trying, is showing effort, because life is hard, everything is hard. But if you're trying, I never expect anyone to be perfect, you know, but if you're trying to do anything, I definitely respect effort in that way for sure.
It's again, it's effort and outcomes are the only two ways to measure things. And sometimes, and you can always control your effort. You can't always control your outcomes, but you can always control your effort. So.
Yeah, because there's so much you can't. There's so many variables. Not everybody gets a fair shake at things, you know. We all know life is hard, but
Yeah.
But like you said, it really is about the journey. There's no destination. There's no time I'm gonna wake up and be like, I'm the best actor. I've done it. You know, it's really just about the small choices you make.
It's okay if you go in the mirror and say I'm the best actor. It's okay.
I wish.
It's okay. I look at it like the best advice I ever got about ego. This is the best advice I've ever gotten about ego. Never show it publicly. Never show it publicly. But you do need a little bit of it because it's what pushes you to say, I can do this. Right. And that's, I think that in that sense, it can be healthy. Now, it can be unhealthy in a lot of other ways. But in that sense, you need it. I think you need that confidence to go out there and say, I can do this. You can be a leading lady. You can be a cast agent. You can be a writer. So wait. You mentioned just real quick on the writing thing. So do you actually want to write like a screenplay for a movie? Do you want to do like a novel? Like what, like if you are like with the writing, where do you want to go with it? If you do want to go anywhere with it?
I think I'm starting with like shorts, you know, like short films. before I lead up to a feature. But honestly, what happens is that I keep getting, I'm so behind on scripts that I have to read for acting work that this sounds like a terrible excuse, but it feels true, is that like I keep getting distracted with acting work, which is my bread and butter, which is my life basically. And then and then my writing projects get pushed aside, you know?
No, it's fair. Here's the honest. Okay, so here's the thing. You love acting. Like, I can definitely tell you love acting. That's your priority, right? So it's not. I mean, the writing thing is something I think you kind of feel like maybe somewhere down the road, but not right now, and that's fine. Like I said, just be honest about what you want, and what you want right now is to act and do all these different projects because that's what you love to do.
Yeah, and I do get to contribute, especially with people that I've worked with multiple times. They do take into consideration my input regarding scripts. So there are times when I'm able to help craft a character or help make changes. But so I do feel like I get to collaborate in that way. Like I get to offer input into script revisions, even though I'm not actually writing. So that's a way of dipping my toe in, I think, for now.
It is. It's also a sign that they trust you a lot. Because
it is, yeah, it is very. I am honored by that. Yes.
Yeah, they trust you an awful lot because they're basically saying, okay, you know what you're doing. We'll trust you. You know, they may. I'm sure there's some things that's like, we can't change this. I'm sure there are moments like that, but it's like, but sometimes they're like, no, that makes sense. You can do it that way. Why not? We trust you. And then you go out there and you knock it out of the park, like home run.
Hopefully. That is the nice part. I just love working with people over and over again. Not only do you develop just a shorthand, but additionally, I feel more emboldened that I can make choices that align with their vision, and also that you know, when you know people, you kind of understand their style, and I can just break down their scripts a lot quicker. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to ask a question. I'm almost afraid you might punch me for this. I'm just curious at this point. Okay. How many years have you acted at this point? So that's why I'm like hands up, because I don't want.
Yeah, I might punch you. I won't give you a number, but I will tell you I've been acting since well, my aunt was an actress, so, and I lived with her into high school. So I would say I started doing my first plays in middle school. So I've been acting my whole life. I mean, really, it's been my job. I mean, that's what I do. So yeah, I've committed a lot of hours of my life. Most of my waking hours, I would say, I've been working on script.
And honestly, I think that's awesome. It's, again, a lot of people discover their passions and don't have the guts to do it. You did it and are doing it and are continuing to do it. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. It's yeah, I mean, it wasn't much of a choice for me. I just always what I've done.
Yeah. Know? Well, that's the thing is, there was a choice. A lot of people, like, I had met a lot of people that would not, that have like drives and passions, but are afraid to do it. You've done it, and you continue to do it. And like I said, I say that like it takes courage to follow your passions. It really does. So
I'm sorry, my laptop's dying. I'm listening. I just don't want to cut you off. Hold on.
No
but
worries.
Thank you for that nice compliment. I do.
Hello? Uh-oh. She might have just vanished for good. We'll find out. I'm going to wait just a minute here. I'm going to wait just a few minutes here. So Well, folks, I'm going to talk while I wait. Hold on a second here. I'm just trying to contact her. Her laptop is dying, and she's going to be like, no. But I mean, we got nearly an hour in, and that's really all I can ask for with my guest. But as you see, I'm approaching episode 900. This is 891. I'm going on a reduced schedule for the remainder of the year, maybe only 20 or so more episodes for the next 2 months because it's the holidays and I have other things I'm doing. So it's going to be kind of a busy time. I have a Black Friday sale. If you are listening or watching this right now, I do advertisements for companies and other stuff. Hold on a second here. Okay, nowhere. Her system, so it's just for update on Trista real quick as I just typed this in. She is her computer's restarting, apparently just collapsed. She forgot to put the power in the battery and stuff like that. So Trista Robinson is one of the very most whoa, wait. Is she back? Are you back? Can't hear ya. Trista? Okay, hold on a second here, folks. We're trying to get Trista back here. I'm going to put her off there. Yeah. I'm letting her know to try again. Yeah, cancel. We're not leaving, folks. But yeah, I'm doing a Black Friday sale. If you want actually advertisements in terms of words, pictures, audio, visual, I'm doing a little Black Friday sale. It is basically you can get a sponsorship for the podcast, which on average is hundreds of listeners a week, but it has broken 2,000. There we go.
Can you?
Hey!
Hi.
No, it's
that
okay.
Took forever.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
I am very good. The one thing about this conversation is I have a big mouth. I can fill in the time. I'm good at that. So it's all
good. Oh, good.
Yeah. So no, like I said before, you disappeared. It takes courage to follow your dreams, and a lot of people don't. Right? I kind of like my own personal philosophy of life is 1 million mistakes, as few regrets as possible. That actually started in like my high school. There was this girl I had a crush on. I was one of my sister's friends, and I never had the guts to ask her out. Now, I've done a lot of things since, right? And it was one of the most important lessons of my life because I still remember this gal in my head. I still remember her, right? That's a regret. And it will never fully go away, no matter how far into the future go. I'm always going to remember her. That all said, right? It taught me one of the most valuable lessons in life is whatever you kind of feel here, you should let out, even if it's wherever, and let it go wherever it will take you. Because if you don't, you'll never know. And I think and I would rather make a mistake than never know.
Yeah, I mean, I know it is definitely scary to do that sometimes for people. I can understand being scared. I try to remind myself how small we all are, which I think for some people sounds scary to be small, but for me, it's so comforting to be small. You know, it's so insignificant. What if I don't get an audition? Like, who cares? You know, in the grand scheme of things, it's something about being small comforts me. You know, it's not like I'm a doctor. Nobody's life is in my hands. Like, that would be a real responsibility. But what are the stakes if I fuck up in a play or go up on a line or it just doesn't matter that much, you know?
So when I was younger, I feared being small. When I got older, I'm smaller than I could possibly imagine. The older I get, the more I see. And the more I see, the more I realize this whole world is bigger than me. And I'll never fully understand it. But there's a freedom in that too. It's like I'm allowed to be whoever I want to be. Right? And that's even I mean, I'm not trying to be like callous when I say this. Grand scheme of things, right? Yes, it's an important responsibility to be a doctor, but that's part of life too. Life and death, like things happen, and that's right. Now, obviously, with doctors, psychologists, anyone trying to heal people, that's not so easy to shrug off. It is, and it shouldn't be. But that too is part of like life is this big machine we don't grasp fully, and it gives us the freedom to go on, right? And I think that's the best thing. And you can learn from anything. You can recover from everything, just about anyway. And one of the things I've learned in this life too, the last thing I've learned is, for all this, like that unfairness thing we talked about earlier, overall is a good thing, right? Because yeah, life's unfair. You can do everything right and still not get that part. I can do everything right and still not sell that book. But it also gives both of us the opportunity to do second chances. Tomorrow, if I decided I wanted to become a doctor, I could, right? It's possible. Tomorrow, if you decided you wanted to be an astronaut, it's actually, you know what? You might live long enough to go to the moon, right? You might, right? It's possible now. So who can say what is and is, and the fact that life is so unfair always gives us second chances.
The other thing is, I think, so part of the reason why I am an actor, I guess, against the odds, or against the more reasonable plans for my life. Reasonable? Yeah, is that my goal really is genuine. I really do love acting. I'm not trying to be rich or famous or glamorous. I really enjoy what I do, so that it helps to really have a passion for your craft. That's, I think, what helps persevere those trials and tribulations, rejections, etc. Because if you didn't really love doing it, you probably wouldn't continue to write if you were rejected, or to audition if you weren't getting the role. You have to have a genuine love of your craft, I think.
You have to have three things, in my opinion. Love your craft. You have to be tough. You have to be. And you have to have an incredible self-belief. Right? Again, it's not always about being rich or I agree with you. Like, going to be rich or famous, and that shit really doesn't matter. Grand scheme of things is great. I mean, hey, listen, if someone had gave me a check with a bunch of zeros in front of the decimal and a number in front of it, I would not say no. I'm honest enough to admit that. But I didn't do this just for the money. Because I wanted to do it just for the money, I'd be a lawyer. Right? I'd be a lawyer. What I'm doing instead is, right, I'm following my dreams and my passions and seeing where they take me. And that means I'm going to get a lot of no's in this life from a lot of people. That's just the way it is, right? I have to be tough. It's going to hurt sometimes, but I have to be tough. I have to believe it's possible. Because without that belief, you're never going to get anywhere. And I have to have the passion to do the work day in and day out. I have to constantly change and grow and evolve. That's the game. That has always been the game. And the people who do it and want to do it and never quit doing it eventually succeed.
Yeah, I mean, and success could be just having a body of work that you're proud of,
Yeah, exactly. But I think in your particular case, it's beyond that. You have a body of work you're proud of. People respect you enough to pay you for your work, which is also very important. And, and you're constantly you're expanding and you're growing in the industry in other ways, not just as an actress, but in other ways as well. So, I mean, you may never be you may never get a Golden Globe or an Oscar or whatever the case is. The big, I'm sorry, I'm not that cool to know what's hip and trendy in that anymore.
I don't know either. Exactly. I don't watch award shows, but I know what you mean.
You may never get that, But the people that work with you, the people that know what you do are going to love, again, they love and respect you. That's enough. Other people recognize you for how good you are. That's great. But you're doing it for you. And that ultimately is important. It has to be about what you want, what you believe, what is your, that's it. It's the only way you're gonna make it in anything.
Yeah. I mean, you're the one that has to sleep at night, right?
Exactly. And so, okay, so there's obviously projects you can't talk to me about right now because you're still in the middle of doing them. But since we last talked, is there? I'm making you picture. This might be another one you want to punch me for. But what's been your favorite project in the last couple of years since we last talked?
I don't remember when we spoke exactly, but
early 2021. So it's been about a year and a bit.
I think my favorite project has been the one I can't talk about, which doesn't really help.
No, actually, it's okay. You can't give away the story, and I get that. I can't give away much. But is there anything like did it just click with you really well? Did you feel like it was like you were on your game? Like you can tell me that stuff. Yeah, obviously you can't tell me the story, but
right. It was a really brutal shoot. I just feel like they all are, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, I wish I could say otherwise, but it was a very difficult shoot for me. But I did feel like I really related to the character very much. She has, I guess I sort of, I play a lot of characters that sort of straddle like strength and sensitivity, and she does this as well. But I think part of the reason I related to her so deeply is that she is sort of surrounded by these people who she sort of feels like she should connect with and who are trying so hard to connect with her, but she's very isolated in a way. She just can't connect to them, and maybe even just doesn't want to. And I felt like a real kinship to her, because I like chatting with you, and I love my friends. I have an abundance of friends that I love, but I'm an introverted person, a deeply introverted person, and that's where I restore myself. And I know a lot of people sort of their fuel happens in social situations. They're filled up that way, and I'm not really. So I kind of feel sort of precious about this character, I guess, because I relate to her a lot in that way.
You enjoy your silence?
I love silence. I'm very introverted, so I'm not particularly social, even though I have people I really care about. I enjoy my own company, and like you mentioned, I do a lot of my own work. I do a lot of gray hours, so I work a lot before I ever step foot on a set, and all of that is soul work. It's all here by myself, making decisions, very specific decisions. A lot of which come from my personal life that I'm infusing into this character. So yeah, I like to be alone. I love to be alone, actually. And this character had a real discomfort being in this group of women, even though she cared about them. There's a real disconnect there.
No, I understand. I do. I'm at a weird place in my life in that I want to have experiences with people I love, because especially in the last couple of years, I realized we are only here for a certain amount of time. But I also get where you're at too. It's like, there are moments so today, right? I go out and I look out where I'm at, and I see like these big giant ass mountains. Like I actually was in the mountain it wasn't last time we talked. I actually lived in the mountains for about 6 months last year. It was really, really, really nice. And you can just get taken away by that little thing of beauty. We actually had, like, in the city I was living in, we'd had caribou and deer like come in and take over the roads. You don't ever want to get hit a moose or any of these things with your truck because they'll take you out too, right? So you watch, again, it's these little silences. They're precious too, right? And I get it. I'm trying to find, like, a personal level, finding that balance of I want to hang out with people because I realize it's a precious thing. But I also want my space to do stuff too, because that too is a precious thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. And, I'm sensitive. So part of being a sort of a sensitive person is I think you tend to absorb other people's problems and feelings a lot, so that can be exhausting for,
if I'm in a crowded group of people for a very long extended period of time, I completely run out of juice. I need a disconnect. I know exactly what you're talking about there. So I guess that answers a little question I thought about you. You are a little bit of an empath, so that's okay. Yeah, so you feel it, and you just can feel the emotions around others, and you need to unplug every once in a while, and or maybe a lot, depending on what you do.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It definitely correlates with being an actor as well.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely no. Again, you're dealing with the human condition, and you're dealing with it, and the deeper you go, sometimes you're like, okay, I need that space for peace. I totally understand that. Absolutely. So I'm going to ask one last question then, and then we'll get to the plug. Because again, thank you very much for your time, by the way. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Likewise. Yeah, so here's the thing. When you don't work, what do you do for fun besides horses?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, besides rescuing animals, which is work.
Yeah. Again, besides being a superhero for animals, what are your
I do, I have a lot of friends, so I love hanging out with my friends. I love Palm Springs. I was gonna go to Palm Springs last week. Yeah, so I mean, when I'm not working, I'm normally hanging out with friends. But the thing about being an actor is even if you're not shooting, you've got scripts normally, so and work never stops. There's always work happening. There's no
absolutely no I get it.
It's tough when you are freelance, when you work from yourself, you don't like clock in and clock out.
No,
it's not like work is ever just not there.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, either you're looking for work or you're doing work. It never stops. I get it. I get it. All right, Miss Trista, I think we have a conversation here. What do you think?
Thank you. You're always so nice. And I'm sorry my laptop shut down on you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So I guess, what do you want to plug? Because you had a lot come out this year. Do you want to do like your most recent release? Do you want to do what's coming up?
Yeah, I would say, what should I talk about? Oh, yeah. So I don't even know if I'm allowed to use titles, but what I will plug is the movie I am wrapping this week, because that has been a wild endeavor. And so I don't know if I'm allowed to say the new title. It has a new title, but you can check out Echoes of Fear, which is my last film with these filmmakers, Brian Enloe, Avonay Bradley, and we are wrapping this week our new film. So if you want to check out Echoes of Fear and then be on the lookout for a brand new film coming out, that's what I'll plug.
Do you know when that new film's coming out? So if people have
no, we're wrapping it this week. So
so no idea. Okay.
I'd say next year. I can't hear you. Oh, you knocked your thing over?
Yes, I did.
That makes me feel better about my laptop going out.
See, the beautiful thing about my show is there's no such thing as a mistake.
Oh,
I had
good.
so real quick. I had a 3-year-old with one of my author guests. He held the show hostage for 45 minutes. It was cool.
Oh,
So I get it's okay. Like real life happens. That's part of the charm of the show. Real life is a big part of it. A little chaos is what makes it real. My opinion.
well, good. That makes me feel better. I can't hear you. Should I just wave? I don't know what's happening. Are you typing to me somewhere?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
But now
cool.
I put a chat.
I just gave up on the mic. So just do this real quick and we'll wrap this up. How can people find you?
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, I don't know if Twitter will be a thing. I usually say
I think it kind of will be. I'm not sold on the apocalypse yet personally. I'm just not. I think it's a gong show. We're not going to argue that point right now, but I mean it. Another discussion for another day, but I sincerely hope Twitter does stick around. If it doesn't, that's okay too. But for right now, let's assume it's going to be here for another 2.5 weeks. For the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I normally post updates on my work on Facebook and Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter for a while anyway, regardless of what's going on. But yeah, so I normally do try to keep up with posting updates on my work. I haven't been as much because I've been shooting a lot, but yeah.
So the Trista Robinson actor page then?
Yeah.
Hold on a second here. Let's see if I can do this here. Trista Robinson. I'm trying to find your actor page there. I love your cover, by the way. I really think.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, you had a blast. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do for people that want to find you. So I'm going to post this. I'm going to post your IMDb because it's there. People can find you.
Oh, thank you.
See?
You're so savvy.
Sometimes I'm a trained professional. Don't tell anybody. Okay?
I don't have any real skills because I'm an actor, so I don't know how to do so.
On a personal note, I don't fully believe you because I know how diverse training some of you guys have. You're just not trained in necessarily the things that people normally do.
Yeah, not like people looking to hire people. I don't know how to do anything.
I would disagree with that a little bit. I disagree with that. It's how you. The next time you come on this show, whether it's me on the road in person or if I bring you back before episode 1000, if you'd like to come back, right? Okay. I'll tell you what I think. What skills I think actors and actresses have. Even though you are an introvert and may not always want to do it, you actually have some really, really neat skills that a lot of people they're transferable. It's all an approach. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day, folks. So for me, anyone listening, I'm doing a special Black Friday sale. I do advertising services, videos, audios, words, and pictures about your project, the person, your brand, whatever the case may be. I'm doing a little bit of a Black Friday special. If you guys want to check it out, go to my website, contact me on Facebook or Twitter or my email. You can definitely do that. And that, folks, will do it. I will be back Wednesday with James Nettles. He will be returning on the show. So for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you next time.